In today's Roblox tutorial, we're going to take our environment from looking like this to this. So stay tuned. As I've mentioned before, this is the first in our tutorial series. We did follow the tutorial from the Roblox tutorials for creating a basic environment. What would you like to see us create? Do you want a real-time strategy? Do you want, my grandson's asking for a maze? Do you want an exploration? Do you want first-person shooter? Tell me what kind of Roblox game you would like to see created. So today we're making our island much more attractive and fun by using pre-created models. Now, models are combinations of 3D structures that have been created in something like Blender, and then a texture's been applied to them. Now, these could be a material, which are more flat and basic, usually drawn with something like Photoshop or GIMP, or they could be PBR, which is physically based rendering to make something look more realistic. Roblox has provided a lot of these, or other creators have provided a lot of these, and they're available through the Toolbox. So we go up here and we click on Toolbox, and we get a lot of cool content that are models or plugins or audio or decals, all kinds of things. And we'll cover a lot of these others in other tutorials, but for now we're focused on models. So far I have not selected any of these or purchased any of these or used any of the free models that are available, but I have selected in my inventory the core building and tutorial from the tutorial series. To get the assets, the models, the textures, the PBR materials, you can get them all through the Creator Hub. The link is in the description. Just simply scroll down, and where it says Core Curriculum Library, click on the Add to Inventory. As you can see, I've already added it to my inventory, and that will add all of the assets to your inventory. You will have to log in to get the materials. Now, everything that you purchase, everything that you create is going to be in your models or in your inventory. Right now, I've got the core building and scripting library available from Roblox, as I previously mentioned, and I can click on that and you can see it adds it automatically to my environment. And we got all kinds of stuff with this, and there's a coin, all kinds of stuff. We can tweak these, make these the way we want, and as you can see, they have been added into the environment on top of what I've already created. So we're done right now with the toolbox. We might come back to it later, but for now we're done with that. Instead, we're going to jump over here to our Explorer. Now, when we clicked on it, it added the package for the core building and scripting library. And if you click and open that, you'll see that we've got our materials there. Now, these materials can be used. They're just simply not yet applied to our different textures. So let's select them. And Roblox has this really interesting way of handling materials, and it's called Material Service. It's a folder. We talked about different types of folders before: the replicate first, replicate storage, server, script service, all of those different tools. Material Service kind of acts a little bit like that. It is for managing specific materials inside the environment. So we're going to grab this Moss Lumpy A and Moss Strata Noisy A and drag those down to Material Services. And you can see they immediately apply to the objects because they were already associated with them in the models. So now that they are in Material Services, they'll be properly replicated to the objects that are expecting to have them. And let's go up here and look. And yes, so we've got some basic environment all set up. Now that we have some texture applied, let's continue with our good organization that we've been doing. Before, we've been placing all of our models, all of our objects inside of World. So we're going to create one folder in our world, and that's going to be mountains. And then I'm going to come down here to model, and I'm going to rename this folder platforms. Now, this isn't exactly how the tutorial does it on Roblox, but it's actually a little bit easier. At least in my mind, this is how I would teach my students to use these different tool sets. So under platforms, we've got all of our different levels already created. I'm going to go up here to my core building. I'm going to select platform A and copy that. and then come back down here to level 1, and I'm going to paste into. And you can see we've got this now. Now it's not exactly positioned right yet, but we can easily correct that. Get that right real close, so it's very close to the same size. Then we need to scale it up to so that it's about the same size as what was there before. Do a little moving, and voila, we've got it there. Now it is level 1 still showing through a little bit that we created. So let's go in here and set that transparency to 1 so that it is completely transparent. And now we've got our new object here. So we can go then down here to level 2, paste into, again, drag that down to where level 2 is, pull it over to the right position, and it's pretty close to the right size already. Get that so it's just showing through on the textures. Let's scale it down just a little bit, move until we've got it about where we want it. Now it doesn't have to be exactly the same size. These were all just simply gray boxes beforehand to help us figure out what we're doing. So then go up to level 2, set transparency to 1. There we go. And now we've got our first 2 levels replaced quickly and easily inside the environment. Let's next go to platform 3, and I'm going to continue with the using platform A for in the place of platform 3. And the next one I think I'll vary to the platform B. Go back here to move it down to where platform 3 is. If you want to get this exactly, you can look at where your original level is and just change the XYZ position to that location, and that can be, you know, those that are more numeric or don't like to use these arrows and controls, you've got that option available to you. And so we'll go to 3, again, set the transparency to 1, and there we go. We've got it in place. And it looks like a floating. Isn't that cool? It looks floating. Okay, for 4 in our platforms, or is that 3A? That's 3A, because they're all basically the same level for this. But I want to use one of the floating. So I'm going to go up here to my core, select platform B, copy that, go down here to platform 3A, paste into, and you can see we got a shadow there, so that means it's hanging up there in the air. Bring that down to about the same place, scale just a smidge, and then go back to 3A and set my transparency to 1. There we go. Now we got a floating island. How cool is that? So if we run this at this point, make sure that everything's going the way we expect, we can run around and we can go pick up our coins, and everything is working the way we expect it to. As soon as I get my 5 coins, we now can jump, buy our jump ability, and he's got a little bit of jump ability. Not a lot, but we'll pick up some more coins here real quick and get a little bit more jumping power. Remember, it does require 5 coins. There we go. My grandson was playtesting this, and he had an incredible jumping ability very quickly. Oh, looks like I'm going to need some more jump power. He was going around collecting coins like crazy, and very quickly could jump up to one of the highest objects in the environment. I don't have his skills. There we go. So let's buy a couple of jumps. That should give us a little more jump power. There we go. Now we can jump here to our floating island. Woohoo! There we go. So the next thing that we need to do, I'm going to stop. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and replace all of these different objects. Now I'm going to go ahead and replace all my floating islands, and then we'll do a C stack. So let's do that real quick. Now, of course, we can add lots more islands to this, floating platforms, whatever we want to do. But let's go ahead and go with the next part, and that is to create a sea stack. So I'm going to select my tunnel, which I did this pretty much as one object previously, but we're going to make a few little changes as we're changing this up. So I'm going to go up here to my sea stack mesh. I'm going to copy that. And then we're going to slide down here to our tunnel, which is what I named it in a previous episode, and we'll paste that into. Now that's way up there. We're going to need to drag that down. And eventually we get it down to our location. There we go. And it's pretty close to the right diameter. Isn't that nice? Now this is just part one. Because we're going to create a stack of these. Pull it down, and I want it below that island so it looks like it's going into the water, which it does really nice. Let's go ahead and adjust the scale just a little bit. And it currently comes up to below the islands, which is just about perfect, though I think I need to raise it. There, about the same height as the islands, maybe just a smidge below. There we go. And then we're going to also add to our tunnel. We'll go back up here to the sea stack cave mesh, copy that, and paste that again onto our tunnel. Paste into, and it makes a copy of it. If you want to quickly move to where you've just moved it to, you can always press the F key. There we go, get it close to the same position. We'll pull it down. How's that looking? Let's shrink it a little bit. We'll scale it down just a smidge. Adjust the location a little bit more. How's that looking? I'm pretty happy with that. That's looking great. And then we can go in, back to our tunnel, and again change the transparency to 1. And then I can also go down, and before I put a topper on it, I'm not going to need that, so I can just delete that. And you can see I can now, let's raise the bottom part of that up just a smidge so that it's showing as ground. So now the player has to run over that. It does a really good connection then between, and we've got our tunnel. Yay! That's looking great. Now we've got the choice now. We created a VFX previously. I'm going to close my platforms temporarily. And we had some VFX in here before. We've got our flare, which currently is now inside the mountain. And that's up to us. How do we want to show that? You can see that it is coming out at the top of the mountain. Could raise that up so it starts out higher. But they did give us this really, really cool VFX in the core. Let's go take a look at that. Oops, sorry. That's a pretty cool looking thing. So if you wanted to replace your VFX with that, that would be completely understandable. That is a really cool VFX. Now, if you're following the tutorial on the Roblox site, you would, at this point, just simply delete platforms. But since we replaced the platforms with what we were doing it so that we could better size it, that's not really necessary. If you're concerned about having the objects in the environment, you could go through and rename each of these platform A and platform B's to level 1, 2, and 3, and then move them up in the hierarchy back up here to platforms, and then delete that level. And then it will no longer be inside the environment. but it's good development practice to do it that way. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's platform level 1, and there we've kept our structure the same. And you could do the same here. Rename this to level 2. And I did not name it the same. _2. Got to use the same process. And then 2 can be deleted. Repeat the same process for each of these, and then you've got them inside the environment, and you don't have the extra objects inside the environment using up space. That's usually a good thing to do. It's up to you. For such a small project, Roblox would not take a performance hit, but having a bunch of invisible objects in there that do nothing doesn't help the performance of your project. So that's done. So let's get some cool mountains in the background. Scroll up here to your mountain mesh, and we're going to copy that and place it inside of mountains, and just going to paste it into there. So there's our first mountain. We're going to drag that over, down, and we're going to place that towards the edge of our water. So the fastest way to create mountains after you've got your first one there, I went ahead and jumped ahead a little bit because my recording stopped. But the fastest way to create the mountains is select a couple of your meshes, and as you've got more meshes, it's easier to duplicate them. So I've got 2 meshes selected there. I can press Control D and then go to Move, and I've now got 2 more mountains. I've got those 2 mountains. I could go back and select my first 2 mountains, Control D again, and I've now have 4 mountains. Keep doing this, and very quickly you will have mountains all the way around. And you can rotate them, resize them, make them look a little bit different. Anything you want to do to your mountains, because they're your mountains. So go ahead and have fun with it. Let's drop that one just a little bit. And you'll be ready to go. So that concludes our game. We've created mountains. We've got everything working the way that we set out to do. This is, as I said before, the tutorial from Roblox, the very first one on creating a simple jump and coin collect. What do you want to see next? Tell me in the comments below and we'll get started on it. I know that my grandson actually will play this for quite a while, just as it is. So what do you want to see us create? Tell us.